Delta Airlines recently added a new kind of airplane to its fleet. Best of all, they added an entirely new domestic first-class cabin on board. Come along as I put this brand new seat to the test on a cross-country flight. Hello, jet setters. I'm Jeb Brooks from greenergrass.com. Right now, I'm in Boston, but I'm headed to San Francisco on board Delta's brand new Airbus A321neo. I hope you'll join me for this trip. It promises to be epic. Just how epic? I had no idea. You see, this flight ended with my very first emergency landing. Everything turned out just fine, and that comes down to the skill and professionalism of the flight deck crew, the air traffic controllers, the flight attendants, even the airport workers who met us on the ground. This turned out to be just fine. It's proof that the passenger experience, things like the new seat and the great in-flight entertainment or the food, all the things I really love about aviation are secondary. What matters most is the safety culture that airlines around the world exhibit. And that was proven to be the case with Delta on this flight. But I'll share more about everything that happened and how it all unfolded. But for now, let's get back to Boston. 2,704 miles separate Boston from San Francisco. It'll take us 6 hours and 12 minutes to make the trip, and all but the last few of those minutes were completely uneventful. It was a busy morning out on the ramp at Boston Logan. I made my way up to the Delta Sky Club in order to gain a bird's-eye view of our inbound aircraft. One important note, while flights between Boston and San Francisco used to be Delta One, that's no longer the case. Delta One is the airline's most premium product and includes access to the lounge and a lie-flat seat. Instead, this is now a regular domestic first-class flight, which means my access to this lounge was thanks to my membership, not my ticket. The Sky Club had breakfast available, but I planned to eat on the plane, so I opted for a cup of coffee instead. Our airplane was due in from San Francisco about 6:50 in the morning, plenty of time to turn it around for our on-time departure at 8:29. I found a great spot to watch all the action out on the ramp. I particularly loved seeing all the A220s. Soon, our airplane appeared. The 194-seat airplane includes 20 brand new domestic first-class seats, and I was booked into one of them, 7A to be exact. It's what Delta aims to be the future of domestic first class, and I was so excited to check it out. The Neo in A321neo stands for New Engine Option, which are Pratt & Whitney GTF engines. They allow 20% better fuel efficiency over Delta's current A321s. Before the end of the year, Delta plans to add 26 of these planes to its fleet, and will have a total of 155 by 2027. In other words, you'll probably find yourself on board sometime soon. In addition to San Francisco, the A321neo will initially fly from Boston to Seattle, San Diego, and Denver. Over time, Delta believes it may be able to serve some of the same missions as their aging 757s. Even the gate agent was excited about the Neo.
It's a brand new airplane. I think you're going to enjoy it very much. It's very sleek and comfortable.
And if you're like me, you're ready to see it for yourself, so let's get on board. I made my way into the cabin, and my first reaction was, wow. It's beautiful, and the seat is unlike anything in the United States right now. It has the look and feel of Delta's flagship suites on their long-haul fleets, but of course, in a single-aisle 2-2 configuration. And the seats look like they provide a ton of privacy thanks to the, horse blinders at each one? Because of those structures, though, it looks like it'd be a bit tight, but the seats offer a strong 37 inches of pitch. They're made of memory foam, which was comfortable for the entire 6-hour journey. And there's plenty of room for your carry-on, along with more storage throughout the area. There's this cubby here below the center armrest, and a bucket on the floor in front of you. There's this power source in the center behind you, and another USB socket and headphone jack below the screen. The overheads are really large, and above you, you'll find air vents, flight attendant call button, and reading lights. I decided to take advantage of the privacy provided by the horse blinders to awkwardly demonstrate just what you can do and have nobody notice. As we began our taxi out to the runway, I started to think about this seat. Again, Boston to San Francisco was once a Delta One route, meaning the airline operated aircraft with lie-flat seats. So, in a way, this is a downgrade over what this route once offered. But the seats are a huge step forward for domestic U.S. first class. They offer way more privacy, workspace, and storage. That said, if you still want a bed between Boston and San Francisco, you'll have to fly with JetBlue. It's your only option these days. Like Delta, both American and United both gave up on serving it with their premium products.
Number 4 for departure, flight attendants. Please prepare the cabin for takeoff. Thank you.
After we reached 10,000 feet, I pulled out the tray table. It's sturdy, just as you'd expect from a brand new one. The screen is fantastic. It's a beautiful way to take in Delta's extensive library of content. The moving map also has tons of features. Wi-Fi was available, and at $5 for the entire flight, it was a great deal, and fast, too. Service began as we crossed over Lake Ontario with a cup of coffee. I'd pre-ordered my breakfast. This egg white omelet was really good. In fact, everything on the plate was excellent. This is the Delta food I remember from the before times. On certain routes, you might still find their sad boxes, but they're rolling out more and more high-quality food on more and more routes. About an hour and 15 minutes into the flight, the purser made an unusual announcement. He asked all the passengers in window seats to close their shades so other passengers could rest on this 6-hour flight. What would you do? I asked over on Twitter, and it turned into a hot debate. However, I'd soon be reminded why, as much fun as these debates are, they're not what really matter. I eventually figured out how to crack the window without letting too much light in, and by sticking my iPhone in there, I could record a bit of footage and not disturb anyone. My seatmate was asleep, but he wore an eye shade. When he woke up, I headed back to check out the 132 main cabin seats. There are also 42 Comfort Plus seats on this plane with a bit more legroom. Both of these sections are arranged in a 3-3 configuration. Our flight attendant was very generous with the water. From there, I enjoyed a few movies, and before too long, about an hour and a half before landing, we were offered a snack basket. We flew near Winnemucca, Nevada, a stop on the California Zephyr, America's most scenic train. It features in one of the videos I'm most proud of. I'll link it below. We spotted nearby Star Peak from that train, and it was great to see it again, this time from 34,000 feet. I even saw the rail lines we traversed. I've always said the Jebscore is tongue-in-cheek, and that's because all of the elements I rate, like the seat and the food, are far less important than what we too often take for granted. It's the miracle of a safe ride, so there's no Jebscore on this flight. You see, as we were on our approach into San Francisco, our pilots noticed a problem. They asked air traffic control for some extra time before touching down to try to sort it out. It turned out our flaps were not extending fully. The flaps are the panels on wings that extend to allow airplanes to fly slower and increase lift. You don't need them in flight, but they're important for taking off and, critically now, landing. Without them, we'd have to land at a higher than normal speed. So, we flew around the Bay Area while the pilots worked on the problem.
Fine, going out over the ocean a little bit further, and I can give you left turns if I just let you ride out there.
That's fine, Delta 1202.
Right.
Yeah, could you set us up for maybe a 10 or 12 mile final for 28 Ryan?
That's 1202, I can do that. You ready to come inbound now?
Yes, we are.
That's 1202, and just double check, again, not an emergency situation.
Our flaps jammed on the way out, so we have a partial flap setting for landing. We'll be landing slightly faster. Sure, we'll go ahead and declare an emergency if you could have crash crew standing by, but we don't anticipate anything bad.
At 1202, Roger, thank you for that, and we'll go ahead and do that for you.
Thank you very much.
Delta 1202, when you get a chance, I need fuel remaining on board and sold.
Okay, Delta 1202, we have 70 minutes of fuel on board, and we have 202 souls on board.
Up until this point, I just thought we were taking an odd approach into SFO, but then the pilot made an announcement to us.
We have a slightly abnormal flat position for our landing, so we'll land a little bit fast. We expect a normal landing and a normal taxi back to the gate. I mention this only because you may see some of the airport vehicles near the runway and near us as we finish our rollout. Just don't want you to be alarmed with that, but we have just a slightly abnormal situation landing here. It's something we train for all the time. We expect a normal landing and taxi back to the gate. Thank you very much.
And that's exactly what happened on this, my first emergency landing. And I have to say, thanks to the confidence displayed by our pilot in that announcement, as well as all I've learned about training through the behind-the-scenes videos I've made on this channel, I wasn't even worried about it a bit. Sure, it was a faster than normal landing, and yeah, there were fire trucks and operations trucks tracking us, but I had every reason to believe everything would be just fine. And I won't hesitate to fly on an A321neo again, because I know the team at Delta's Tech Ops and the team at Airbus are working hard to understand and prevent the problem from ever happening again. Air travel remains the safest mode of public transportation thanks to the countless professionals who work hard to make it so. And I hope this channel plays a little part in helping you fly with as much confidence as I do. Between now and the next time, see you in the sky.